Janine Paige, welcome to CamTalks.
I'm pleased to be here, Cam.
Janine, I'm so pleased that you are here. It's been a bit of a quiet winter, really, isn't it, on Alderney?
Certainly has.
Have you had any signals that the summer is coming?
Oh, as soon as I do daffodils. The daffodils are spring flowers. When they come out, I think, oh, yes. But I've been swimming all winter, so
No.
my summer has lasted the whole
Have you
whole
really?
year. Yes.
Brave woman.
That's my thing.
How is that? How's swimming in the winter in Alderney?
Cold. But there's a little group of us who go down Braye. Didn't think I was going to talk about it straight away.
Hell yeah, let's talk about it.
And we're all pensioners, nearly all pensioners, and we go down there.
Is this part of the Ass Club or Badass Club?
Not Badass Club, we're the Braye Buddies.
The Braye Buddies
The
Club.
Braye Buddies.
The Braye, sorry.
Braye Buddies.
Not the Grey Buddies.
Yeah, I think we are a bit grey.
The Braye, so you're the Braye Buddies.
Yeah.
That's cool. So how many of you are there?
Sometimes it can be 15.
Wow.
And sometimes they can be just 3 of us, depending on what the weather is. And the badasses come and join us on quite a few days as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, if there's nobody in their little
Are
group.
you a wetsuit person or do you just brave it?
This year, for the first time, I do wear a little shorty. I started wearing it actually last year. Actually, I wore it for a little bit. And then the end when it got February time. But the first time ever. And now I'm thinking, how many more layers can I put on? Because I think, and what it is, it's not going in because I love the cold. As soon as you go in, I just love that bit. But it's keeping warm afterwards, which...
Do you have one of those fancy dry robes?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Is it a fancy one? What's that brand called that everyone wears? It's got like a big logo on the back. But you know if someone's got a fancy dry robe and if they got a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, it's a dry robe. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm glad because keeping healthy. Everyone now is obsessed with getting in cold water. A lot of my friends in London go to these like cold water baths, and then when they come over here, they're like, "Mate, you literally live right next to the sea." I'm like, "Yeah."
It's good. You go in.
I go in. I actually haven't been in this year yet because I was in Thailand at the end of last year. And their water's so warm. I didn't realise it. As a kid growing up, everyone told me about global warming. I'm like, yes, Alderney's going to become the Med.
Not quite.
Not quite at all.
I think it's averaging. They keep saying it's 9 degrees at the moment. And Lee Bowers has got his watch that he puts on, and he reckons it's still 9 degrees, but it seems to be getting colder and colder. It's still saying 9 degrees. So we reckon his watch is not working. His smartwatch is not working properly.
Well, probably best if you just get in. Did you have any advice about getting in the sea? I mean, in terms of just...
I've been swimming all my life.
Just go in.
So cold water swimming's always been there. Yeah.
Because you are, I mean, let's go all the way back then, because you're born in Guernsey, so you're no stranger to the Channel Islands temperatures. So tell me about being, I mean, did you grow up in Guernsey?
I certainly did. Yeah, I was really, really lucky. My grandparents on my mother's side are from Sark.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone from Sark.
Yeah, go all the way back to Heliard Carteret. So they came from Carteret through Jersey to Sark. So we go all the way back. So we've got heritage all the way back. So it's really, really good. And because of that, I've got Jersey in my blood, which Guernsey and Jersey, we don't always talk about that. And then Guernsey, obviously. And then back through the main side somewhere. So I've got Alderney in my blood as well. Wow. So Jersey, Sark, Alderney and Guernsey. So I'm a true Channel Island girl.
Are you a true Channel Island girl?
True Channel Island girl.
God, I love that.
And then my grandfathers were from the West Country. One was from Devon and one was from Cornwall, but they came across and fell in love with the Channel Island girls. And
wow.
Yeah.
So what school did you go to in Guernsey?
I went to St Martin's School and then I went to the Beaucamps afterwards, where I did a pre-nursing course at Beaucamp. That's the reason I went there.
Did you ever think that it could get any smaller than Guernsey, though? Like when you were a kid?
I never thought I'd leave, but we spent a lot of time in Sark, obviously, because we used to go on our holidays and Devon and Cornwall and London, where we had relatives as well. But I've always loved islands, and I think it's because it's in my blood. But I seek out islands when we go on holiday. I always want to go to an island. I get claustrophobic in the city, which is very, very strange. If I cannot see the sea, then I'm not happy, Bonnie.
Oh, I feel you. I mean, to all those city dwellers out there, come and spend some time in the Channel Islands.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? And your parents then, growing up, what did they do for a living?
My parents, they both been in the forces, and then when obviously they came back to Guernsey after the war. My mother stayed on in military police, and then they came back and then my father worked in growing when we were young, and my family had some greenhouses. They did that, and then my father went into Tektronix, which was American. They had oscilloscopes, and he would print on oscilloscopes. It was a big company.
I have no idea what you've just said there. Tektronix and
Yeah.
oscilloscopes.
Oscilloscopes. So
What's
they
that?
would do oscilloscopes. So it was, I can't even remember the whole thing now, but it was like for medical
Okay.
things. You see the little oscilloscopes, and
It's
I
hard to
can't
describe,
remember.
really.
Well,
Isn't it?
it is very hard for me to describe. I should know, but I forgot.
And they produce those
They
devices.
produced those different parts of them, and it was
Wow.
great for Guernsey because we didn't have any factories over there like that then, and it gave a lot of work. It's like Specsavers has done for Guernsey, what Tektronix did back in the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your mother?
And my mother, she was stayed at home a lot of the time, but then she did sort of little jobs, and she worked at Tektronix for a very short time when my dad was there. But she mainly, but she did voluntary work. She was a Samaritan for 30 years, which I can say now. She
Wow.
did that. But her love was island history as well. So she also, as we got older, she went to work at Castle Corner, and she loved that. And she would be in the museum, and a lot of people said she should have been in the museum, bless her.
Aw.
She had a great sense of humour, don't worry. And she loved it. She was curator at the museum, and she spent a lot of happy years there. I think she stayed on after she retired, and just part-time, but she loved it.
You said that she was in the military police.
Yeah, she was, yeah.
So this is, and tell me the story about Nuremberg, because
Yeah, she couldn't actually be in the trials, but my mother went. I suppose I can talk about this now. Yeah, so my mother stayed on after the war and was in the military police. She was ATS when she first started, and then she looked after the prisoners, the women prisoners. So she actually looked after Hawhaw's wife at one stage, and she was like the guards. She looked after them, and until they went to court or whatever happened to them afterwards. So she was, she didn't talk to us about it when we were young. And then as we got older, she spoke to us a little about it, a little bit more in depth. Sitting over a glass of whiskey over here in Alderney, she told us a little bit more after my dad had passed. And it was quite interesting to see what she'd done, this little girl from Guernsey, and how she was so involved. She always said about Pierpoint, because she was with him in a room once, and she said all she could think of was how small his hands were for some reason.
So Pierpoint was the executioner.
Yeah, he was the hangman. Yeah.
Wow. So Nuremberg trials were the first of its kind war crime
Yeah.
tribunals made up of all the countries,
Yeah.
sort of, in the war, and then someone had to look after the guards. Oh, sorry, someone had to look after the
female
prisoners.
yeah.
Wow, that was your mum.
Yeah, and we had a story. She shouldn't have been wearing her 21st ring on duty, but she'd had her 21st birthday ring sent over from my grandparents, and she was on the parade ground, and they were doing which was used an exercise ground, and she dropped her ring. And she couldn't find it anywhere. Anyway, she said to some of the prisoners, "Oh, I've dropped my ring. And it was Hawthorne's wife that found it. And she said to my mother, "You can have your ring. Can I have a cigarette?" And my mother was anti-smoking anyway, but she just said, "No, I'm not allowed to give you a cigarette." And she said she always felt guilty for years and years. But my daughter has that ring now that my daughter wears it. It's been refashioned now, and my daughter wears that ring. So a little bit of history with it.
Isn't that bizarre? Like the fact she was wearing that and so this took place in Nuremberg, obviously.
That was outside. I think I'm not sure where they were held, whether it was in Hamburg, but they were held in just outside. But her friend Mary, I think her name was Mary, was one of the ladies that you see in those pictures. There's a lady in the court in Nuremberg. She was actually in there. My mother was sort of more behind the scenes, but she it was quite a thing she went to. As lots of people did during the war. A lot of people stayed on and did lots of things. As mother said, much more than she ever did. But they had to have really hard training before they went into that. They had the choice whether they were going to do it or not, and Mum chose to do it.
I mean, I've only watched the film Nuremberg with Russell Crowe, so I'm not a historian in any way. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like after the war, they wanted to treat them with a sense of dignity, which obviously wasn't what was given or was happened at the beginning. So yeah, she must have had to really prepare herself. Well, I think all those guards would have had to be very stoic in a way and try not to take it out on them. Because imagine, I mean, coming from Guernsey as well, like seeing the fact that they occupied the Channel Islands, your mum must have felt a sense of betrayal in a way, you know.
Yeah, I suppose she was a tough cookie, my mum, and she was very loving, very warm mother. I was very lucky with my parents. But when my mother did a job, she did a job, and it would be done correctly. So she would have done it by the book.
Wow.
Yeah, when we were brought up, we used to have our rooms inspected on a Saturday morning. We used to laugh, my brothers and I, and my father was quite strict as well. And he was very loving too. He's gorgeous, my dad. Yeah, and we all rebelled, but we did have quite a strict upbringing. I think
bet.
we used to say they thought we were, they were still in the army or the navy. Yeah.
Wow. So
Um,
growing up in Guernsey then,
mm,
post-war, I mean, did you know that obviously what happened in Guernsey and
yeah. No, we weren't taught it at school. Nobody mentioned it at school. That was the weirdest thing. We never knew. So I think only my grandson's generation, they're actually learning more about it now. Um, but it was our playground, the bunkers like over here. It was our playground, and we found so many things in that bunkers. And we used to have little Morse code machine, little tap things we used to play with. We had German helmets. Put your, put your plants in the German helmets. We had so many things that we would play with. There's a story of Trevor, my husband, as you well know. And he did this thing at school, at Smartin School, the same school I was at. And they said, have you got any things from the occupation that you've got that you want to bring in? And Trevor and his friend Alan Markey came in with all these guns and all sorts of weapons that they picked up from all the bunkers. So they were confiscated, obviously.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow. So I didn't know that Trevor was from Guernsey as well.
Yes. Yeah. We went to the same school. He was older than me. So I didn't know him at school, but I met him when I was 17, yeah.
Wow. So you were 17. Where did you meet him?
Met him just at St Martin's. We mixed around with the same people. And then we only smiled at each other across the room. We never
Hello.
actually spoke.
Those bedroom eyes. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we both got married. Trevor went into the army. We both got married very young. And then he came home. I was separated. He was separated. And then we met up because we lived down the road from each other. It took us 2 years to get together because I was just a little bit guarded. And he brought me to Alderney for the weekend. I fell in love with Alderney and fell in love with him in 1983.
Oh, that's so sweet. Like a boomerang, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
that's so lovely. And then when you decided to move here, was
Mhm.
there a job? Was there work or anything that you were going to do here?
No, we decided we had both busy jobs in Guernsey, and we were coming here quite a lot. And I think that year we came over, the year before we moved here, we came over 11 times. And our children said to us, I don't know why you don't go to move to Alderney. You love it there. And it took us about 2 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it took us about 18 months actually to give our jobs and think about it. And it was and we had lots of friends here, so it was quite hard to leave our home because we loved our home, we'd have family home. To leave my friends, that was hard, and our family, and the children. But I think Alderney had captured our hearts, as it does to so many people.
What was it about Alderney back then, though? Because I mean, like, it was so busy, and I mean, what was it you liked about coming here as visitors? I guess
Everybody laughed. I think we could say everybody laughed, and I think it was just our escape at the weekends, and we come in, you could totally switch up. We've always said, and I'm sure a lot of Guernsey people say when they come to live here, it was like Guernsey was back in the 60s. And it was that holiday buzz. And of course, in the summer, you'd had, all the holiday homes over and the holiday makers, which made it really, really good. And it reminded us of the good old bucket and spade days of Guernsey. When you see Braye Beach full of people and kids just free, it's just wonderful.
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it was less stress here.
There was loads of characters, right? I mean, there still is a lot of characters today, isn't it? But do you remember any characters sticking out? Obviously, you met my parents back in those days as well.
Yes,
I'm sure that was a
yes.
lot of fun.
That was lots of fun, and we know Lona and Stuart and Angus was a character. I mean, he hasn't been gone too many years. Angus, 10 years now, I
Yeah,
think.
of
Angus
course.
was the character back in the day, and I gotta try and think now. I can't think. There was lots of different
The
characters,
thing
and of
is
course
that
the main was Timmy Main. Oh gosh, little Timmy Main.
yeah.
Bless him. Yeah.
What was your favourite drinking establishment back in those days? Was
The
it the
Divers.
Albert? Oh, the
Divers, yeah,
Divers.
without a doubt, the
Okay.
Divers. And we used to go in the Divers, and Eileen Allen had it then, and Tim was had it. And I always have this lovely story of on New Year's Day when we did the New Year's Day swim, and I'd always go in, obviously. And Eileen had the bath run for me, and and I would go in. I remember Jodie being really, really tiny at that age, and she'd say, "Go and warm yourself up, Janine. Go and warm yourself up." So I go up and have a bath, and I remember Tim saying to Trevor, "Shall I take Janine up a little hot toddy?" No, no, it's all right. I'll take it up, Tim.
Oh wow! So people were literally like swimming back in those days. It was always just in the sea and out again.
Yeah.
And, wow.
And Eileen's bar was so funny because it's a one bar, as you know, but Eileen would have. She'd say, "You can stay up this end in the public, and I'm going down my friends in the lounge." And she'd go to the bottom end of the bar, and then she always had little flowers in between. And it was just a joke, She'd say, "I'm going to my friends in the lounge now."
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And so when did you start running the moorings? Because I think I remember you in the moorings. I think that's the first time when I was born, obviously.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
That was great fun. I was bored. I was bored. Trevor had gone back to commute to work for Longport, and they'd called him back and said, would he go back? So he went back to Longport to work, and he was gone for 3 days a week, and he was commuting. He did that 15 years, bless him. And I wanted something to do. I was bored. I'm a busy woman. I like to be busy. And I'd heard about the moorings. I thought, I've done many things in my life, never really run a pub. Maybe I'll take on the moorings. Oh, my goodness. Wasn't it hard work? It was the best fun I think we've ever had. But it was hard. If I could have kept the little bar that we kept that little bar that the Coxon bar, I called it, a little back bar. That was my little bread and butter bar, as I called it. And all the local lads would go in there, and the summer wine guys would come in at that stage, and the lifeboat guys would come in. That was lovely, that little bar. The restaurant side of it, staff-wise, getting a good chef, that side was so. And we were busy in those days because they were doing up the Braye Beach, they were doing up the hospital.
Fishermen as well, right? The amount of fishermen. They loved the Coxon, right?
Yeah,
that was the fishermen's
yeah
pub. It's such a small bar that.
Yeah,
That's
it used to
tiny.
be packed. I remember I had to say to people on a Sunday, because we'd have music down there on a Sunday, and Trevor on his guitar and people just playing, and people bring their dogs in, And I said, can we just not bring the dogs in? Because the waitresses were like falling over the dogs. And
wow.
Which,
did you ever have to do the whole pub landlord thing? Get out of my pub.
Yeah, several occasions.
Yeah.
Which, as a woman, it's easier to do it than a man doing it. I mean, if Trevor's a big guy, and if Trevor had said, "Get out my bleeding pub," they might have had something to say. But I was tough. I've been brought up with 3 brothers, so they don't scare me. Yeah, but it's just say. But the next day, they turn up with flowers. They turn up and say, "Sorry, Janine." They were the best. Local guys are great, aren't they? So they're good. So it didn't have too much hassle. We didn't have too much hassle, but a few incidents. But
well, you have to bring flowers back the next day, otherwise you're not allowed back in.
You're not allowed back in. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so then, and at what point did you move on from the moorings then?
Yeah.
Was this pre working with the States Works, or did you?
Yes, it was actually, and I was doing a little bit part-time with the ambulance as well at that stage, and we were all volunteers at that stage.
Oh wow, tell me about the ambulance then, because like on this island, like everyone, right?
Yeah.
So like when you're called out, you're thinking like, oh god, not this person again.
So I think just to go back, I with the moorings, Trevor and I said if it ever came between us, then we would say, well, that's enough. And I think we were just really, really busy, and we'd done about 200 covers, and Trevor had to go to Guernsey. I said to him, can you come down to the bar? And he said, I don't really want to. Got to go to work tomorrow morning. And we'd sort of said that, goodness me, that we didn't argue, but we sort of had words about it. And he said, we need a discussion about this. And luckily, Paul and Jason had come to work for us. I think we said to them, do you want to come and work for the summer ordinary week for us at the moorings? And they did, and they fell in love with it. And they've sort of hated us every day since it, because it was such hard work. But yeah, and they took it on. So we only had it for a few years, but it was such good fun.
Yeah.
Such good fun.
I bet. Because the summers in the moorings, it gets super packed and super busy. People come off the beach. you know, just wander up. I love the fact that this island has like the town and then like the bottom of
Yeah.
town, you know, or like the near the harbour, I guess. And there's like two little communities that you can kind of just go to. I think someone was saying, I think Barbara Benfield was telling me that they weren't allowed to play in town as a kid. For whatever reason, you know, and it seems like back then the options you had was like the harbour or town,
Yeah.
you know, and it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then, so your ambulance, your voluntary service ambulance, because I mean there are were they all volunteers back then?
Yeah, we started. That's when Mel was running the ambulance service, and we did. I think we did. We were all volunteers to start with, and I think that'd been going for many, many years. And then I think you just had a little bit. I think it was 50p an hour to carry your alert or something like that. But that was good. But again, I just did it for a little while, and then I did a little bit of admin for them. But that was really nice to do that. It's I think. It was great. I'd been a St John's Ambulance cadet for years and years and years. Then I did a pre-nursing course, which I never actually became a nurse. I went to an office instead. So to be able to be on the ambulance was a real privilege. And to work with people on the island, and you never knew what you were going to get. That was the strange thing. And we'd had our little qualification we did, but was quite interesting, some of the situations we got into, which obviously I can't talk about, but it was
Well,
quite good.
I can tell you about the times that I've had to call the ambulance, or not even me personally, but there's been a couple of quarry parties and bunker parties which someone's called the ambulance for me. This is also back in the day when it used to be charged. You know, I mean, I think it is still charged for people on the island, I believe.
It's all within, it all comes within our rates now, yeah.
Well, that's good, because I think it was the most expensive taxi home I've ever got from the bunker party. But the most amazing thing is when that door swings open and it's someone you recognise, you're like, oh, thank God, you know, you're just, it's so much joy, I guess, to see someone like that. But yeah, you must have seen some terrible things. I mean,
yeah, well, I didn't see too much, but it was quite humbling at times to see, and it makes you realise how vulnerable the body is, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
That really.
Any drunken injuries? I mean, that
Oh gosh, yes.
that might be. Yeah, I think after having Jenny Rowley and Sally Simmons, and I'm like, guys, you all got to just chill out a little bit, you know. 'cause
we have too much fun here. That's
we
why.
have way too much fun, but obviously there's a lot of hazards to trip on. Before we continue, I want to say a massive thank you to Alderney Electricity for backing this podcast. On an island of just 2,000 people, sometimes it can be quite easy to take the energy we have for granted. But behind every light switch is a team of electricians, engineers, and administrators working hard to keep us going. But they don't just power our homes, they power our community with local sponsorship like this. Alderney Electricity continues to support the events, the projects, and of course the stories that bring our island together. Alderney Electricity, thank you very much for keeping our lights on and for sponsoring this podcast. And so why did you stop doing the ambulance? Was it just...
Stop doing ambulance. I wanted to go into, wanted to do something like more full-time. We couldn't really do much more in the ambulance. And I went to work for the States. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I went to it to States Works. And yeah, it was...
I've heard you were pretty prolific at your job. Apparently you were very quick to respond to potholes or problems. So that the States Works, just explain what they do. Yeah. As a department. So
we looked after the infrastructure of the island, all the drains, the sewers, the roads, the cobbles. We had States housing when I first started as well, and I worked with Tim Birmingham, who was a pleasure to work with. Tim was lovely to work with. He was such a nice guy. And I went to work and just did a little bit of admin to start with. And I loved working with the girl. I worked there for 8 years and I never not wanted to go to work.
That's a good sign.
That was the difference. Very different to my career I'd had before, which was a lot of fun. But this was very different to what I'd done before. But I suppose I've always been a tomboy. You know, give me a truck and I'm happy. And they were a delight. It could be hard work, but they were a delight. And we had it was a lot of fun.
Was it easier back then in any way? Because I'm not saying, I think the States Works do great job, particularly the roads now. You know, some of the new roads are great, but I don't even imagine. How did you know that there was a problem with the roads?
Normally somebody would stop you in the street or when you're having a meal somewhere, somebody would tell you. Well, you'd have a rolling programme. We had a bit of a rolling programme for things at the time. And the roads were done very frequently. We'd have the boy Tangiers, we'd say in Guernsey, he used to come over here and he'd have his programme for road race and they'd get all the roads done. And the housing, they'd have a little bit of quite such a rolling programme on housing, but yeah, it was all done. And Tim used to, Tim would know, get the guys out there doing jobs every day, and
Wow.
it was good. And a lot of the guys had been there for many, many years. We had some funny phone calls, we'd had some funny requests. I had a request, one gentleman phoned me up and said it was during Alderney week, and he said, I have my family down on the beach, and he said there's these little things hopping around, and he said they're all over the beach, and I said, yeah, that'd be sandhoppers. And he said, well, my family don't like them, but can you get the guys to come and spray them? And I said, well, actually, they're natural habitat. They'd be there. Unfortunately, that's what comes with them.
So
and
funny.
And they had another request, could we remove the seaweed, because it had come in one day and then it disappeared and then it all came back again. And this poor lady was distraught because the seaweed was just horrible on the beach, and why had it come back?
That's so funny. And of course, then you have to use your communication skills to ensure them that there's nothing wrong with seaweed and sandhoppers.
Just enjoy it. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of sandhoppers because I, used to go on the beach a lot. We used to have bonfires on the beach back in the day. I know you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, you can ask permission.
You can ask permission, but I believe you need to have kind of some sort of like fire pit or something now, or like some metal grate. I think back then we just chucked a couple of pallets on on the beach. But that's when the sandhoppers would come out at night. You're like, oh my God, they're jumping into the fire.
And dry seaweed, you always see them in the dry seaweed at the top of the beach.
Yeah. Do you have a problem with seaweed, or do you like? No, really?
Don't want to see. It's good for your skin.
Oh God, I can't stand it. And particularly that night in Braye, you've got that patch just beyond the Duggy that, like, sometimes when it's low tide, you've got to go in. You're like, go through there. I just don't like not seeing, not knowing what's in the seaweed.
Have you not been ormering?
No way.
Would you like to go down there and?
No, I can't say I'm much of a seaman. I mean, I've had a few encounters with seals actually. I don't know if you've swam near any seals over here.
Yeah, you just have to be a bit wary of them.
They're huge. They're ginormous, and like when they do come near you, you're like, I better leave. Better get out of here. But they're gone before you know it.
Yeah.
They're absolutely ginormous. I mean, so prior to obviously coming to Alderney as well, you did work in finance for a little bit in Guernsey. Was this the golden age of finance? Was this when it was all kicking off?
It was fun. It really kicked off in the 60s. Sort of started coming in the 60s. But by the 80s, we had a lot of big companies there. I was very lucky enough to work for Rothschild, which was my first job in finance.
You mean the Rothschilds? Like
yeah.
The Rothschilds.
The Rothschilds.
Wow.
Lovely place to work. Very old-fashioned. We weren't even allowed to wear trouser suits. We had to the first couple of years. When I worked at NMR, we had to wear skirts. The finest training I ever had. Very disciplined, which I enjoyed. And we started to reconcile to the penny. We really, really did. And I started doing in trust accounts. And it was fun, and it was really good. And then I went into more trust work, trust administration, and I did that for a few years. And then I went up to RAM Rothschild Asset Management, and that was nice. That was the investment side of things, and I love that. And just to flip back and forward to London and Swithins Road, and that was really good. I really, really enjoyed it.
Wow.
We partied hard in the 80s and early 90s. Very hard. We worked extremely hard and we partied hard. And I think working at Rothschilds, that was one of my biggest regrets in life, that I didn't start. My pension would have been bigger if I'd stayed on at Rothschilds. And I moved around because they would say dead man's shoes, everybody stayed there a long, long time. And to move up the ladder was quite hard. So to move about, which quite a lot of people do, and you can move around and then to get promotion if you want to move forward. Don't say it wouldn't have happened at Rothschilds, but it was a good way of doing it. And I suppose I was young and ambitious and wanted other things. But I think when they use the word tribe these days about finding your tribe, my Rothschilds tribe is still there.
Really? Keep in touch?
We still keep in touch. Yeah, we do.
Oh, wow.
We made so many friends. And with my banking went on to Leopold Joseph. And then I ended my career at Rabobank, which was a Dutch bank, which was a lovely bank to work for. Really, really, Ronald Van Beek was our MD. He was just a gentleman. He was lovely
Wow.
to work for.
Because obviously the Channel Islands are known for finance, and I
Yes.
imagine back in those days with the the different laws and whatever, it just attracted financial experts.
Yes.
But these people are human beings too, very competent ones with money and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Is the finance sector still big? And I know your kids some of them are involved in that sort of stuff.
Yeah, niece and nephews. My daughter's at Specsavers. She's been there 30 years today, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
30 years today? Oh,
yeah.
congratulations.
And my son works for the States. But yeah, it gave people the opportunity, because Guernsey, when we were growing up in Guernsey, there wasn't a lot going on. It was growing. It was the holiday industry. So everybody worked there, in hotels and growing. Everybody grew tomatoes or grew freesias, iris, and packing. You doing your Saturday job packing tomatoes, and so when finance came in, it gave everybody an opportunity to earn money, to have a future, have a pension. Or it was the civil service. I started out in the civil service when I left school. Or if you were lucky enough to get into civil service, gosh, you're really, really proud of yourself. And I think with banking as well, when we started, I mean, years and years ago, when you think in the 60s, if somebody was a bank manager, they were a very esteemed position. And it's lovely now, and people have the opportunity to get qualified for what they do on island, and that is fantastic. And here too, we've got some little finance houses here now, and it's really good to see the youngsters now having some ambition and going there and having the opportunity. And I wish that there'd be more on the island. I really do wish for Alderney that we could get more.
Well, it's interesting
and more
because
opportunities.
we've also got a lot of competition in terms of just not even just other jurisdictions, but technology, and of course, I mean, we've spoken about sort of AI and how that could affect all careers in the future. But it's a tradition really in the Channel Islands that finance that we should probably keep. We should really nurture, and particularly like apprenticeships and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely.
With like younger people,
Yeah.
because you throw a stick and you hit an ex-banker over here, right?
Yeah.
There's so much experience just waiting to be sought after, really, isn't
Yeah.
it? Well, look, I mean, so you then came to Alderney and obviously had maybe not like an easier life, but definitely a lot less stress on this island. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we didn't bail out. We just realised that quality of life was better than the money in the bank, I suppose. Really, as we get older, we think now we should have put a bit more in. But we just had, and it just gave us the opportunity to just spend time together, more time together. Trevor had a couple of illnesses at that stage as well, and we decided that's what we wanted to do. It was either here or Shetland, because we do love Shetland.
Why Shetland?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Shetland is lovely. But it was here that our heart was. It sort of grabbed us.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what's the similarities between Shetland and Alderney or the Channel Islands?
Yeah, there's quite a few connections actually, and there's quite a few people here that have got family up there as well. It's very similar outlook in life. I think it's a very basic way of life. It's the community spirit, which is good and bad sometimes when you live, you live in a tiny, tiny little island. But that's what we like there. And the freedom, I think. The freedom of living, the freedom of, let me say, safety, if I can use that word. The camaraderie between everybody. Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's beauty. Shetland, it's colder. When I swim there, it's really, really cold.
I need to go for a swim right now. I swear, like, you're making me excited again. Because I think that's the thing. Like when you're busy, you forget to look out and to go down to the beach and take a walk and whatever. But it's right on our doorstep here,
and I think it's most of one important thing for mental health as well. I really do think. When we get down there, we laugh, we sing in the water. We're a funny little group, Braye Buddies. We do sing a lot. So if anybody hears these mad women singing, it's coming from us in the water. And I think it's good for your mental health. I know when I need to go and swim. And actually, Trevor will say to me sometimes, "Get in that water. Get in that water."
in the
Or go and
sea.
meditate. Is his old thing to me. Go and meditate. Or go in that water. And I know I feel a different person. And he always says, I come back with my swim smile.
Your swim smile. Oh, that's
Yeah,
sweet, isn't it?
yeah. You said you got
Or
your
like
a grimace probably.
yeah, it could
Um,
be cold. But so that's the thing. So obviously mental health is more spoken about these days. But have you always been in touch with, with that side of life, really? Was it
yes, I would say so. A lot. Not for myself personally, although I think we all have blips. We don't realise sometimes that it's a little mental health problem we have going on, or we just a little blip, really. I say problem, maybe that's the wrong word, but we can have dips in our lives, and we're not quite as confident, or we overthink and we worry about things. But I've always, for a long, long time, I have been involved in meditation and well-being, and that has been something that I'm very, very passionate about, that I've been very, very privileged. And that's another reason why I wanted to come to Alderney as well, to give me that opportunity to have the freedom to be the real Janine, really. Um, and I've worked with lots and lots and lots, and done over 2,500 Reiki sessions since
wow?
in the last 9 years, yeah, which is lovely. Um, and that is a way of life for me as well. And I do think we're so busy in our lives, and there's so much stress in life. There seems to be so much stress these days. And if you can just switch off just for a few moments, and it doesn't have to be sat like sat with your legs crossed, just going, you don't have to do that. You can be sat down on the beach. You can go for a walk on the beach. Just taking time out of your day to have you time and to be in the moment. That's what it's all about. It's just being in the moment and stop thinking.
I feel that we're way too connected. My phone is like it's like a limb, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think I went for a cup of coffee earlier, and I left my phone in my room, and I was like, oh no, what if someone's messaged me? I'm like, just shut up, Cam. No one's messaging you. Yeah.
And you know what? You can get back to, you could be swimming. You could be doing something else. You could be having a bath, and they wouldn't be able to contact you then. So
right, but because you're
there's
busy,
no urgency.
you don't think about it. Whereas it is. I don't like all this connectivity. It's a bit much. I want to say a massive thank you to Channel Seaways for sponsoring this podcast, and honestly for keeping Alderney alive. They're the reason our food arrives, cars turn up, and occasionally they even ship horses and cannons too. They make it all seem effortless, like clockwork, and thanks to them, we get to feed our families and enjoy a glass of wine at the end of the day. They've been supporting the Channel Islands for over 50 years, and with a brilliant team who genuinely care. So go over to their Facebook page, give them a like, show your appreciation, and support the people that keep Alderney civilised. Now back to the episode.
We forget, really, that we're human beings, I think. We're so connected to our iPads and our phones that we forget. I've been on two me that chats a lot. I have been on 2 silent retreats to Buddhist.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
And it's an amazing experience up in Samyeling in Scotland. And when you're there with the monks and you have to be silent, it becomes so natural. And obviously there's chanting if you're going to chant, because I'm a Buddhist, so I love it's a big privilege for me to go there. And you actually don't want to speak. And you haven't got your phone, you haven't got your laptop, you can take your books. You can just read. And even over meal times, there's no talking. And you just sit in silence and you listen to the chanting. I just felt at home when I was there. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can see why that would be good, because you're all doing the same.
Yeah.
So you're not, trying to come up with something clever to say. You're just at peace.
Just being at one with yourself.
Wow. So were you always a Buddhist then, or was there a time when you learned about Buddhism?
Yeah. I was brought up Church of England, and we had to go to church, and we had to go to Sunday school. And we went, I think, till I was about 15 and a half or something like that. We went, and I was in the guide, so we had to go for the guide as well. We had our services in church. So that was it. And then after, when I had my children young, I remember going through a stage when I was searching for something, but I didn't know what. And I remember dragging my son Stuart around to all these churches on a Sunday. Rachel and Trevor would be home, and I'd be dragging Stuart around to all the different ones, not knowing what I wanted, but I knew I needed something. And then I read the book called The Long Walk. And it was about these guys who'd escaped from this Russian prisoner of war
Gulag.
camp, yeah.
Ooh.
And they'd walked through Nepal, and they survived. And I don't know what it was, and I think it was about the Nepalese people as well. And something drew me to that book that changed me, and it was just so. It was survival, but it was peaceful. Out of the tragedy that was coming in that book, there was this peaceful side of it that just grabbed me. And then I started looking into Buddhism, and my thing in life is take what you like and leave the rest. Something my father always told me. So like everything, I suppose my careers and everything else I've done, take what I like out of it and then leave the rest. So you don't have to be fanatical about anything. And I think with Buddhism as well, I haven't got my head shaved. I don't go into it all the time. But every day I do something. I study or I will sit in silence. And yeah.
How do you let go of things though that, because everything's piled in there in your head all the time.
Yeah.
How do you let go?
Concentrating on the breath. Yeah.
I just remember to breathe.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
You hadn't even noticed your breath. Yeah. And it's about not worrying about the future, which is really hard for us, because I do worry about things. I do, everybody worries about things, but it's just reminding yourself about that we forget to live in the moment. We forget how wonderful this little moment is because we're so busy worrying about the future. And it's kindness. And they asked the Dalai Lama once, what is your religion? He said, it's not religion. He said, my religion is kindness. And it's being kindness and caring. I mean, you've got Roberta, who runs the centre here. She's the kindest lady on the planet, I think. It is just caring for people and looking after yourself as well, but caring for people and being kind.
Do you ever work? I know you've done a lot of Reiki healing. I mean, do you ever have extreme cases where you see, because they often say like hurt people, and like when people are not kind to people, you don't really care about them because you're a dickhead anyway. Whereas those people are often the ones that need the most support, the most help, because they're furthest away from even knowing what this kindness is all about or why, because they've never experienced it.
And some people don't know how to be kind. Some people don't know how to love. Some people have had really hard lives. Some people it's just their makeup. It could be just some imbalance somewhere that they're not quite. But most people, I wouldn't say everybody in the world, but most people don't really want to be how they are.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think some people are scared to stop. And I get this with a lot of people that I don't like to call them clients, but I find they come to me, every person that comes in my door, it will be because they've got something going on in their lives. And sometimes they just need a little bit of guidance, or they just want to stop for an hour and they just lay on the bed and they listen to music and they listen to my guided meditation, and it just allows them to switch off. We do get a lot of tears. We get a lot of emotion that comes out, but they're allowed to do that, and that's lovely. And I feel very privileged again to be able to do that. And that's I think that's the real Janine. I think that's who I am. I think doesn't matter. I'm not no saint. Don't get me wrong. I love to party. Everybody knows I love to party. But it's lovely to be able to do that.
Yeah, I love our sessions that we've done together because it's such a release, and obviously I don't mind talking about it, but when you've gone through some pain and then you've kept it in, and then someone says, well, look, now you can release it. It's so quick. And then you come out feeling like you've just slept, and you're like, oh God, feel better now. But it's not as regular as you want it to be, right? It's like you almost want this like every few weeks or every month or something. But for me, and I mean, do you have a lot of repeat customers or customers or clients?
I tried to sort of cut down because most people know my Trevor's poorly at the moment. It is poorly. And so I tried to cut down on my work, and I tried to give up the Reiki side. But I've got so many lovely people that I work with, that my regular people that used to come every month. Some used to come every week, but majority every month. I've carried on with those now because they need me, and also it gives me a release from being the carer for my loved one to being me and who I am. So I really enjoy that side of
What
it.
do you call yourself then? I mean, are you like a coach, a leader,
No,
like
just a
healer?
well-being therapist. No, I wouldn't say we're a healer because I don't think I heal with Reiki. Some people say call themselves a Reiki, and we're Reiki masters and we've got trained. And I wouldn't call myself a healer. What it is just I allow people to relax and switch off. And whether they've got my hands on, which comforting. When you put your hands on yourself, it's comforting. Your mother put your hands on you, your father's put your hand on you. They just you give yourself a self hug. You know, when you rub yourself, if you hurt yourself, it's the most natural thing you do. So if they feel my hands on the hands when I've got my hands on them, my hands are warm. That is comforting to them anyway, I think. But I think I don't know what I would call my official be a Reiki therapist. But I like to think I guide people into.
Oh, do you know, I was about to say that.
Yeah.
You've been more of a guide to me than anything.
Yeah.
And that's because, to give me the time to explain myself and then to be able to sort of give me some suggestions of things that maybe look out for this and maybe understand this. When I'm on that path and I go, oh God, Janine told me to look out for this, and then you run forward and then you've got success. I'm like, I need to speak to Janine again. Yeah, because you get to crossroads in your lives, and there's really no one who's open enough, who's not going to judge you, who's not going to have skin in the game. But you're there, and you're like, right, what is going on? Let's lay it out. And it's the energy side that I find interesting because I never really understood energy, until you work with someone like yourself and you have a release of energy, and then you go, how was all that in me?
Yeah.
And I like even like coming out through tears or just through pure, I don't know. Can you explain it?
Yeah. Well, we're made of energy. We're built up of energy, and then and energy gets blocked, and it starts off when we're young. Let's just give an example. So you had a really happy childhood, and then your mother decided to go out to work, left you with a childminder. The stress of that when you've been so confident at home, or you start school and you might get bullied at school. That is carried. And we say there's these chakras, these energy spots in your body. There's 7 main chakras, and if you can, the easiest way to explain it is they turn around in like a little tiny ball in a clockwise direction. And when you have anything in life, so you can imagine when you go through life, you get this imbalance in so many things: house moves, breakup, having children, all these things illness puts your body out of sync. We forget to put it back together again. And you get blockages, and a lot of the energy in our body, the mind is connected. This is the way I think, this is the way I've been told, to different parts of our body as well. And these energy centers, I can say to people, I can feel somebody's energy center and say, I can feel it another part of their body. And they often say to me, I don't say to them, oh, you've got something wrong, but I'll say to them, or I'll just automatically go and touch their ankle and just hold their ankle for a while, and they'll say to me afterwards, did you know I had a bad ankle? Did you know I twisted my ankle or something? So you just feel it. It's just something natural. People most really think, God, this is all a bit wacky and everything.
No.
But I'm a great believer.
I mean, I think that science is often misunderstood because obviously, and it's the same with economists, right? It's like, like you can be an economist, but you might not be creative to start something. It's the same with this. It's like, I mean, I don't know, is it heat? Do you feel the heat?
Yeah, I feel the heat, and I feel their heat, and I feel the heat. Sometimes people are really cold for it. Some people are just really, really cold, but normally you feel warmth. And they see the colours of the chakras. That is the weirdest thing. Don't ask me why. They can, because they're like in rainbow colours. They can, when I put them down in meditation and relax them just by talking, and then they say to me, they see, they see the chakra colours, which is really weird.
Wow, I love that. I really do. I believe in the power of suggestion. I believe in the power of people giving you time.
Yeah.
Like the patience and the listening aspect of what you do is what I think everyone is kind of lacking a bit. Everyone deserves to be in the spotlight. At some points in your day, in your life,
Yeah.
I think everyone deserves to have the center stage, because you are important. Everyone matters, and the more we can bring people into the circle, the bigger the circle gets.
Yeah.
Particularly on a small island like this, where you go through. I mean, politically, everyone gets supercharged in the winter, because it's so, it can get a bit stressful and bleak. The moment the sun comes out, everyone's like, oh, forget about
everybody
it.
looks so good, they feel so good. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But keeping everyone together, I think is mostly about sort of offering them that kind of help, really.
Yeah, we've got a few little circles that your mum comes along as well. She loves it, and we just sit, we used to go every month, and not quite everybody's busy at the moment, so we don't quite do that at the moment. But we sort of just sit and we just have a cup of tea, and we sit here. Sometimes it's at your house, sometimes other places, and we'll sit and we'll just meditate, or we'll do something, um, just something that's going to focus our minds.
Is there a difference between men and women? Because I feel like women they're capable of a lot more stress to deal with. Like, having seen my sister with her 2 babies now, I don't know how she does it, but men seem incapable of dealing with lots of problems, and are probably more like aggressive in force. But women are juggling way more. And so, I mean, is there a basic difference between the genders, just based on?
And I think it's in our makeup when we're born. Women, you're born, and then motherhood is, normally the next natural step, especially like years and years ago. So you've got to focus on all these different things, keep an house too. And with the men, he's like, that's his main job, to go out and work and be the provider. And I think our makeup is different when you go way back. It's changed now over the years, but men, it's interesting I love working with the guys. You'd be surprised how many youngish guys, middle-aged guys that come through my door. One guy, I remember, he came and he, a lot of his, sometimes it's just relationship breakups and things. And I remember one guy, he does a session with me, and he'd been struggling for a little while, and he had to make a decision. And when your mind is like this all the time, and you're turning round and round and round, you can't make decisions for the future. You need to stop for a few moments. And I hadn't seen him for a few days, and then I was just walking uptown, and then all of a sudden he came up on his bike, and he just got off his bike, threw his bike down, came out and gave me a big hug and said, I know what I need to do now. Thank you.
Wow.
And then that was it. But I've had people move off island. They couldn't make the decision if they want to come. Some people have come to live on the island. They couldn't make that decision. I've had people have had breakups. Some people have got together. Some people have got babies. We're pregnant mums, which is, oh gosh, that is just amazing.
Really? Yeah. So I mean, what are pregnant mums? What are they like?
Just come. And I had one beautiful session with mother and daughter who wanted to become pregnant, bless her. And then I saw her through that stage, and then through her pregnancy, and her mother would come along. And I'd have the two, and I'd give them both Reiki and relaxation together, mum and daughter, and couples Reiki. I loved doing couples Reiki. And the mother and daughter was just so lovely. Her husband never came along. It was just the mother and daughter used to come along. And that was lovely to see the baby born after that.
Wow. You're part of so many people's lives. That's such a, I mean, you must feel privileged to be able to share that kind of experience with lots of people.
Yeah. I have, because I've been doing it quite a long time. It was very hard, because when I was in Guernsey, because they always call me the witch of Platzeling, so I have the psychic side as well, which I was born with, I think. And I always hid it when I was in Guernsey. I always knew, because you can't sort of work in finance and work with your clients and then have this other side. But I always knew I was different. But I never even told my friends that how I felt or what I did. My family knew I was a bit weird, and it's something I sort of fought against, I think, and tried. But then when I came to the interesting thing is, every time I came to Alderney, my energy changed. Yeah, and I just get this calling that I needed to do this.
There's a lot of spirits on this island, and I don't mean alcoholic ones. So before we finish this episode, I want to thank Bell & Co for sponsoring this podcast. If you're looking for a place to live on Alderney, whether it's renting or buying, go and visit Bell & Co. They have all the information about what's available in Alderney, and they can also guide you with some of the best things to do on the island. Go and visit bellandcoalderney.com, where you can escape to paradise. Whether you're a remote worker, a carer, or just want to raise a family in somewhere safe, Bell & Co is there to help you. I mean, do you mind if I share a little bit about from when we worked together?
No,
'Cause,
sure, yeah.
You know, I think the strangest thing for me when, you know, we've done some talking and you know, and then we get into the, you know, the section where we're talking about my grandfather came through, and you were saying, I think it's something to do with the horseshoe, have a drink in the horseshoe or something, and I didn't really take much from it in the moment, and then later on I'm sitting at dinner and I'm like, Dad, Janine said something about the horseshoe and like have a drink or something. My dad just went completely white, and he said that was the pub in Northern Ireland that his dad used to drink at. And of course, I mean, it is hard for people to understand, you know, and don't get me wrong, it was never a thing that, like you said, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of, things are coming to you.
Yeah.
But even that was when my dad was the first time I've ever seen him completely silent, to just like trying to figure out, did I ever tell Janine that my dad drank in the pub called the Horseshoe? You know, it's kind of, yeah, it's bizarre.
I don't know how it works, but I just get thoughts in my head, and I've had it ever since I've been a little child. My grandson's exactly the same, and these just come to me. I had a funny one, and this young couple on the island, and I saw them being up Victoria Street, and I said something about I forgot how the conversation started, and I said, you two should get married, and they went, shh, it's a secret. How do you know we're getting married? It's a big secret. We've got a secret wedding this afternoon. And it was like, the times I've gone, I saw a young couple down at Blanchard, and I said, oh, baby number 2. You know, and they sort of like, how do you know that? Nobody knows yet. But I don't know where it comes from, and I don't know why. Sometimes I've had some very sad times with it. I used to work with this guy from the Daily Mail who used to always try and contact me and ask me when murders were happening in the UK, and that is that side of it. I got so much stuff on Madeleine McCain, and I've worked with the Leicester Police on that. But it's something that I don't like to do, and it's something it's been a side of my life, and it hurts. I'm going to say, you know, it's when I have bad thoughts that come through, that's not very good. But on the lighter side, but lucky that doesn't happen very often. But I take that side very seriously. But on the lighter side, you know, some people avoid me that now I've sort of come out of the closet, my witch closet, and I think they think mainly guys, and they think I when I look at them, I know things about them, but I don't. You know, I can switch it on and switch it off, but it's not there all the time. I don't like look across at something and think, I know what you've been up to last night.
Yeah,
you know, I just don't.
Do you know, I think I've actually figured it out because I had a bit of an experience recently, and I'll tell you about it in a second. But I think you're super sensitive. Like I think you're hypersensitive, and the reason I say that is because I was in Bangkok recently at a friend's wedding, and it's very, very kind. He let me stay in his house, and whilst I was staying in his house, him and his new wife went off on their honeymoon, and they decided that they wanted to move house. You know, so they had all these home removers that were coming in and taking everything, including the shrine, the Buddhist shrine, right? And I didn't really know anything about this shrine. I didn't. All I knew is that one day the house removers had taken the shrine, and I looked at where it was, and I went, oh God. And I kind of walked towards it, and I just felt heat. I don't know what it was. It was heat. And I shivered, and I heard a noise downstairs, and I ran to the front door, and I locked the front door, and I locked every door in the house. And then I went back to the door, and the door was open. And I was like, you know what? I'm out of this house. And I called up my mate, and I said, listen, dude, you put that shrine back, basically. And he told me, he said, you're gonna have to like give some Fanta, some red Fanta as whatever. Point is that
you give him a gift.
Well, he actually took it far more seriously than I would like to have heard, because you know he was like, oh, okay, 1 second, and I was like, hello. And I'm like, hang on a second, and before you know it, he sends someone over to cleanse the house. And he took it deadly seriously.
Oh, wow.
And for me personally, I was, you know, the next day it was fine. But I remember feeling the heat. That was all I felt. I just felt heat, and I felt it. I can't explain it, but I felt it. So I don't know. I mean, and that's where science can't really help. It's hard to measure,
Yeah.
but if you feel these things, then you feel these things.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I had somebody from the medical profession that I was working with Reiki, and this person said to me, "I'm going to stop asking how it works. I just know it does." Yeah.
That's it.
And I think that was,
Just because you
that
can't
was
prove it,
said a lot.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is. I've done quite a few house clearances here and just gone through, and when people have bought new houses and just have this weird feeling. It took me 7 years to settle in my house. I've been there 22 years now, down because we're on the camp now. I don't know what it was, and I still, when I go down into one of our bottom rooms, which is Trevor's music room, I still get, I cannot leave that door open at night, and I cannot, and I'm not scared of ghosts or anything. I cannot walk into that room at night. It's a very strange feeling.
I think your sensitivity can be turned on and off.
Yeah.
I think you can either accept it or not accept it. And I mean, it's funny because Raz is, a fort on the island that a lot of people have said is haunted. And when I was a kid, I can't remember whose dog it was, but they were just refusing to go across the
Really?
causeway. It was like, nah, this dog did not want to go across. And, I don't know. I mean, this island
Yeah.
is so old. We're talking like the
Yeah.
cavemen were here. Now, interestingly, I think I heard from someone the other day that the Channel Islands, Guernsey, Jersey, and Alderney, and Sark and Herm, were like ancient burial grounds where they would come over from
Yes,
France
yes.
to bury their dead
Yeah.
and then back to France again.
Yes, they did.
So really, we're
Yeah.
actually just sitting on like a
Yeah.
load of old
And down London, I think they used to do that. They used to come to the old harbour there, I think,
and just sail in,
Yeah.
bury their dead,
and bury the dead and then just go.
and leave.
So yeah, there are some. I think the islands, again, it's energy, because I think once we pass over wherever we go, my mother used to say, "I'm off for my next adventure." We leave energy behind, I think.
Interesting. What do you
Yeah.
think's next then? What's after death?
Oh gosh, good question. I'm not scared of dying at all. I'd be disappointed if I go too quick, because I absolutely love life. But it's there. I'm not scared of it, and it will happen when it does. And I like to think, I don't know whether I'm going to meet my loved ones or not.
Well, you'd hope so, right?
Yeah, it'd be nice, I think. But I think when I put it this way, I feel as though, and this might sound really, really weird, I think we're down on Earth and we have jobs to do down on Earth, and then we go back, and I know I'm not coming back again. I do think people. I'm a great believer that people can have more than one life, but I think this will be my last one. I just think when I get up there, that's it, and I'm gone, and I'm miserably. Don't know what happened to
See,
me.
that's
Just a
that's
little light
actually
and
that's a
slowly
very
disappear.
sensible way of looking at it,
Yeah.
because there's a sort of a scale of what people will believe, and some people are have to be
Yeah.
certain about things, and other people are open-minded. I know a lot of very clever people,
Mm.
and a lot of them will just say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I know a lot of people who are adamant, no, this is what happens, this is what happens. And I mean, not to say anyone's right, because it's death,
No.
but people have come back from death,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you've had people who have gone to the light and their heart
Yeah.
stopped and whatever. I mean, I hear, these people say, well, I saw the light, and then I saw like my kids, or I saw like something that was really meaningful to them. So it could be anything. Could be
Yeah.
all manner of things, really.
My dad had that experience, and my dad was, very cynical and very straight-laced, and he had a heart attack, and he said there was this light, and he didn't want to come back to Earth. He really wanted to go with his two brothers that had been killed in the war, and he saw them at the end of this tunnel. And whether it's just his imagination going, and then he did come back, and luckily, and lived a few more years. But that was very strange for my dad to say that, yeah, but Trevor, people say to Trevor, "Do you believe in afterlife? Do you believe?" And he said, "I've seen too much with Janine not to believe, because he's just seen these."
That's nice.
Yeah, I can't even say what I see, really, but it's just
no, but that is really nice, because I mean, ultimately, like, whatever happens in this little head of ours, it's either good or bad,
Yeah.
and bad thoughts can obviously stay with you for years and affect a lot of other people, but to let go of the bad and think about good stuff, I think that's the main
And I
thing.
think when you pass over, I just think it's going to be so peaceful.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, because life is tough, Life is tough for people, and it is hard work down here sometimes. But we have a lot of fun as well, though.
Well, look, I mean, you're busy sort of healing everyone else, but who heals you?
My friends.
Well, tell me about your friends then, because you've just celebrated a birthday.
Yeah, the big 70th.
Big
Yeah.
70th. Do you know what? I think I was about to say 60th then. So you're looking good.
Thank you.
How was your 70th?
Oh, it was good. It was quite sad because I couldn't do anything with Trevor, as we know. But my lovely children and my daughter-in-law, my cousin came over from Guernsey, and Stuart babysat Trevor all weekend, so we could party. So went out, and my girlfriends, including your mother and Alona and Jill and Annie and Gina, they organised. I was just going to have a meal at the Blonde Hedgehog with Tracy as
Just
well.
a quiet one.
And then suddenly Boydie turned up, and Derek
with his
and
drums and the guitar.
Music. And because they'd asked me about a playlist, and Annie said it was so funny because I just kept dancing and saying, "Oh, I love this record," not realising it was like, "Oh, I love this record," and didn't realise it was my playlist.
It was curated for you.
It was great.
My dear mum put that together somehow.
It was just amazing. And you know, Cam, I think when I left Guernsey 23 years ago, one of the things was, obviously missing my family and my house and our house, I should say, and my work colleagues and friends. And it was my girlfriends I was really going to miss. And I said to the girls on Saturday, they are amazing. My girlfriends over here are just incredible. We're all crazy. We've got no stop button. We just love each other, and I'm so lucky to have them. And I think, you say, who cares for me? I think we've been going through a bit of a tough time, this year with Trev's illness. And my girls have been my let up, turning up with like wine and chips and taking me out and dragging me out. And you just feel guilty for going out, but like,
No, but that's so sweet. I mean, do you think you could have had a life like this anywhere else?
No, I don't think so. And we were going to go back to Guernsey. Maybe it's my crazy psychic side, but not last year, the year before, I had this thing I kept wanting to run away from Alderney and go back to Guernsey. And I knew something was happening out of my control, but I didn't know what. And we actually looked at houses and in Guernsey. And remember, your mum said, "We're not going to let you go." And then we looked at houses, and then Trevor was diagnosed with this advanced COPD. And as soon as we had the diagnosis, Trevor said, "I want to go home." I said, "Let's go home." And the children said, "Take Dad home, Mum. Take Dad home. Go home." And it was the word home. And then when we drove down Torsia Hill, we both looked at each other and said, "Wow." And we knew that this is where we needed to be, so Trevor could sit and look out over Platzelina. And when we came back, the whole of Alderney wrapped their arms around us. It was the most wonderful thing. And I see that with it's not just, us that are going through things at the moment. Other people are going through things. And like the likes of Barbara Benfield and Paul at the chemist and Tracy and the doctors and nurses, and they're just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah,
unbelievable. This place,
feel very humble.
Same.
Yeah.
And like, we're so aware of what goes on in the rest of the world, but there's no way I could find anywhere, like a community like Alderney. You just can't. And it's nice to imagine breaking away, running away, as you say. I'm moving to London, or I'm moving to Bangkok, or I'm moving somewhere else apart from here. But where else can you go where you walk down the street and you know everyone?
Absolutely.
And they care, don't they? Like everyone cares. They want to know how you are. It's not like fake, "Oh, hi, bye." I've spent a bit of time in Jersey, which is, it's very superficial in a way. And then you come back here and you're just like, oh yeah, no one's trying to show off. Like they're just themselves,
And what I love about Alderney is because every generation mixes. There's no age barriers. You can just be out there with the 80-year-olds or the 18-year-olds all together, hugging each other. Everybody's pleased to see you.
Well, this is why I want to do the podcast, because no one will ever believe me one day when I'm old and I'm like, yeah, there was some characters, Now I'm going to be like, go and watch them all,
Yeah, Sad Sack. Oh, he just came to mind. He used to...
Sad Sack?
Sack. He would go into the car. Sad Sack. He would
Oh.
be in the coronation, bless him, all those years ago, and yeah.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Is that these pubs are still all there, and
Yeah.
you must walk in. And I mean, I know Angus sat.
Yeah.
He was in his spot. And it's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is fascinating. This island. Janine, is there anything else that you think that we should be talking about? Obviously, something I'm sure will come to your mind.
I'm sure I've told far too much, opened up far too much. As
No,
it is.
I'm sure. I hope the people listening have just considered a bit more about their own spirituality. I mean, it's not even the right word, really. It's like, but their own energy, their
Their
own.
own well-being and look after.
Well-being.
We all look after other people. But we do need to look after ourselves, and we forget that sometimes.
Absolutely. What will you be doing? Obviously in the short term to look after yourself. What's your next wellness?
My next wellness.
Your gift to yourself.
My gift to myself is obviously keep swimming. And also I've joined Natalie and Claire's Women's Circle. I went for the first one last Thursday evening, which was on self-sabotage. And there was about 25 of us. It was amazing. So that is my gift to myself. I'm going to do once a month. I'm going to keep going to that Women's Circle.
Wonderful.
And,
well, Janine Paige, thank you very, very much for joining me.
It's a pleasure, Cameron.